No one tells you this when you're busy chasing success. But one day, you'll wake up with time, and no one left to share it with. I am 80 years old, and I have been lying to myself for most of my life. Not the kind of lying that hurts other people. The quiet kind. The kind you barely notice because it sounds reasonable. The kind that lets you sleep at night while your life slowly empties itself of thoughts that truly matter. I'm sitting in a small apartment now. 2 rooms. A kitchen I barely use. Photographs on the walls that no one looks at except me. And I have more time than I know what to do with. Time I once begged for. Time I promised myself I would use for all the things I was too busy for. And now that I finally have it, I understand something I wish I had understood 50 years ago. I always thought I was building a life. But I was really just building a schedule. And by the time I realized the difference, most of the people I wanted to share that life with were already gone. When I was 23, I married a man named Richard. He was patient. He laughed easily. He had a way of making ordinary days feel calm. We met at a church picnic. I almost didn't go because I had work to catch up on, even back then. But my roommate insisted. And there he was, standing by the lemonade table telling a joke. I remember thinking he had kind eyes. I loved him. And I meant it when I said I would spend my life with him. I just didn't understand what that promise required. I thought marriage was about showing up, being faithful, working hard, building something together. And it is, but it's also about being present. Not just physically, but emotionally, really there, and that is where I failed. We had 2 daughters, Margaret and Catherine. Like most young mothers, I wanted to give them everything: a good home, good schools, stability. I told myself that providing was love, that sacrifice was love, that the hours I worked were for them. I worked in accounting. Long hours, constant pressure. I was good at it, maybe too good. Promotions came. And with each step up, I traded something away without noticing. At first it was small things. A school play I missed. A Saturday at the office instead of the park. I told myself it was temporary. That later I'd slow down. But later never came. I remember one evening when Margaret was 7. She ran to the door holding a drawing of our family. I looked at it for 3 seconds, said, "That's lovely, sweetheart," and walked past her to check my messages. She put it on the refrigerator herself. Years later, I found that drawing in a box. I cried, not because of the picture, but because I couldn't remember what it felt like to be the kind of mother who would have stopped, knelt down, and really looked. My daughters grew up in the margins of my attention. I wasn't cruel. I showed up for birthdays. I said I love you and meant it, but I wasn't fully there. Richard was. He filled the gaps: soccer practice, thunderstorms, friends' names, teachers' quirks. He did the invisible work of being present while I was busy being important somewhere else. He would tell me about the girls, little things, and I would nod and move on. I didn't ask questions. I checked the box and returned to work. Sometimes I caught him looking at me with an expression I couldn't name. Not anger. Something sadder. Like he was watching me miss something I would never get back. I told myself I was doing it for the family. But the truth is, I liked being needed at work. At home things were messy and unpredictable. At work, I had control. So I chose control over connection again and again. When Catherine was 16, she told me something I will never forget. You don't get to show up now and pretend you care. I was furious. I walked away. We never talked about it again. That's something else I learned too late. Conversations you avoid don't disappear. They turn into distance. When my mother got sick, I visited once. I left early because of a deadline. She died 3 weeks later. I let my sister's call go to voicemail because I was on a conference call. I never truly said goodbye. My daughters grew up and moved away. When they visited, we were polite. Surface level. I had given them things, but not myself. And now they didn't know how to be close to me. When Richard retired, he seemed content. I didn't understand how. I worked longer because I didn't know who I was without my job. When I finally stopped, I realized we had become strangers living in the same house. Richard tried. Trips, dinners, time together, but the distance had grown too wide. He died 4 years ago. Quietly, I woke up and reached for him, and he was gone. I lay there holding his hand, thinking about all the mornings I rushed away, all the evenings I was too tired to talk. He had waited for me, and I kept saying later, and later became never. There is a kind of grief that doesn't scream, it just stays. Now I sit alone with all the time in the world. And I've learned that time means nothing without people. If you're listening to this, I won't tell you what to do. I'll only tell you what I learned too late. The easy choice is staying busy. The hard choice is being present. If there's someone you love, don't wait. Don't rush past them. Look at them. Be there. Because love without presence turns into memory. And memory is not enough. I thought my real life would start later. Now it's later, and I'm alone. That is my truth. Thank you for listening. And before you turn this off and move on with your day, there's one more thing I want to say. Because silence has taken enough from me already. People think regret comes from doing the wrong things. Most of the time, it doesn't. It comes from the right things done for the wrong reasons. Repeated so many times they become a habit. I didn't ruin my life in one dramatic moment. I did it quietly, politely, one postponed conversation at a time. I used to believe love was something sturdy, something that could wait. I thought the people in my life would always be there, orbiting patiently around my responsibilities. I never considered that love needs proof, not in grand gestures, but in attention, in listening, in staying when it would be easier to leave. Now at 80, I understand that presence is the rarest form of generosity. Anyone can provide. Anyone can explain their absence. But sitting with someone in their fear, their boredom, their joy, that requires a courage I kept telling myself I would find later. Some evenings, I imagine what I would do if I could live one ordinary day over again. Not a milestone, not a holiday, just a Tuesday. I would leave work on time. I would sit at the kitchen table and listen without checking the clock. I would ask questions I was too busy to ask. I would hold Richard's hand for no reason at all. I would look at my daughters the way they were asking me to look at them. And the hardest part is knowing that none of those moments were expensive. They didn't require talent or timing or luck. They only required my attention. And I kept giving that away to things that never loved me back. If you're younger than me, you still have something I don't, unfinished conversations. Use them. Say the awkward thing, sit in the silence, show up even when you don't know how. Especially then. Because one day the house will be quiet, the inbox will stop filling, the phone will ring less and less, and you'll finally have time. But time, by itself, will not keep you company. I am not sharing this to make you afraid. I am sharing it because truth is the only thing I have left to give. If this reaches you while there is still someone in the next room, or a name you've been meaning to call, let this be the moment you stop waiting. Later is a promise life doesn't always keep. This is where my story rests. Not with anger, not even with despair, but with clarity. I see now what mattered. I just saw it too late. If you take anything from my life, let it be this: don't build a life you're never present for. Don't mistake motion for meaning. And don't assume the people you love will always be there tomorrow. Thank you for listening. I hope you choose differently while you still can. And even now, after saying all of that, the truth keeps unfolding in me, because regret doesn't arrive all at once. It comes in waves, usually in the quietest moments. It comes when I reach for my phone and realize there's no one I can call without feeling like I'm interrupting their life. It comes when I hear laughter through the walls of this building and remember when my own house sounded like that. It comes when I cook a meal for one and automatically set out 2 plates before remembering there is no one else at the table anymore. I used to fear being alone. Funny enough, I spent my life preparing for it without realizing I was doing so. Every time I chose work over connection, I was practicing solitude. Every time I told myself, not now, I was rehearsing this silence. People talk about independence like it's the ultimate goal. But there is a difference between being capable and being alone. I was very capable. I just forgot how to need people. And even worse, how to let them need me. Sometimes I wonder if my daughters think of me when they're driving home after work, or folding laundry, or waiting in line for coffee. I hope they do. Not because I need to be remembered, but because I want to believe I mattered in the quiet corners of their lives, not just as a provider, not just as a responsible figure, but as someone who saw them. If I'm being honest, part of me still wants to explain myself, to tell them I did my best, to list the reasons, the pressures, the responsibilities. But explanations don't build closeness. They never did. Listening does. And listening is something I ran out of time to practice. So instead, I sit with what is. I water a small plant by the window. I watch the light move across the floor in the afternoons. I take my time with things now, because there is no one left to rush for. And in that slowness, I finally understand the cost of all the years I spent hurrying. If you are hearing this and your life feels full but hollow at the same time, please pay attention to that feeling. That emptiness doesn't mean you need more success. It means you need more presence. More ordinary moments shared without an agenda. Call the person you keep thinking about but never quite dial. Sit longer at the table. Ask how someone really is, and stay long enough to hear the answer. These things feel small, but they are the only things that last. I don't expect forgiveness from the past. I don't even expect to be fully understood. What I hope for is simpler than that. I hope my honesty becomes someone else's turning point. Because the cruelest lesson life teaches is this: you don't realize you were lonely until there is no one left to miss. And if my voice reaches you while you still have time, then maybe my life, with all its distance and delay, can still mean something. That thought keeps me company now, in the evenings when the apartment grows quiet again. And when the night finally settles in, that quiet becomes louder than anything I ever heard during the day. It presses in, not aggressively, just patiently, the way time does when it knows it will outlast you. I sit in my chair by the window and watch the lights turn off in other apartments, one by one, and I think about how every light belongs to a story I will never know. Once, my light was part of that constellation. Once, someone looked toward my window and felt less alone. I didn't understand then how fragile that was. I used to believe that love was permanent simply because it was sincere. I see now that sincerity without attention slowly starves. Love doesn't vanish in a moment, it thins. It becomes quiet, it learns how to survive without asking anything from you, until one day it no longer knows how to ask at all. That is what happened in my life. No explosions. No dramatic endings. Just a long, gentle fading. There are memories that still visit me without warning. Richard humming while washing dishes. The girls arguing over something small and unimportant. My mother sitting at the table, folding her hands while she waited for me to finish. Just one more thing. At the time, those moments felt ordinary, almost forgettable. Now I understand they were the substance of a life. Everything else was just scaffolding. If I could speak to my younger self, I wouldn't tell her to quit her job or abandon her ambitions. I would tell her this instead: don't confuse usefulness with worth. Don't assume being needed in one place excuses being absent in another. And don't wait for permission to choose people over productivity. No one ever hands you that permission. You have to take it. What surprises me most is that even now, at this age, love still hasn't left me. It just has nowhere to go. It shows up as longing, as tenderness, as a wish I can't act on. I think that's why I'm telling this story. Because love that has nowhere to land becomes words. It becomes truth. It becomes a hope that someone else will carry it forward. If you are listening and you feel that familiar pull to hurry, to postpone, to say, after this, please pause. Just for a moment. Look at the people around you as if they are temporary, because they are. Look at yourself the same way. None of us are as permanent as our calendars make us feel. I don't have a neat ending for you. Life rarely offers those. All I have is this quiet clarity, earned late and paid for dearly. Presence is not something you add to your life when you have time. It is the life. And if my voice fades after this, if my story ends here, I hope it leaves behind a small interruption in your day. A hesitation before you rush off. A reason to stay a little longer. A reminder that the most important things are almost never urgent. And the most urgent things are almost never important. That is all I have left to give. And I give it willingly, with the hope that somewhere, someone chooses to stay. And if you're still listening, I want to say something that's hard to hear but worth hearing. Time doesn't forgive. It doesn't pause for a project, a deadline, or an excuse. It just keeps moving, and most of the people you care about will keep moving too. One day, the phone won't ring. One day, the laughter at the table will be someone else's memory, and you'll realize that the moments you skipped, the evenings you spent somewhere else, the words you didn't say, they are gone. Forever. I spent decades believing that love was safe, that it could wait. I thought my family would always be there because I worked hard, because I showed up for the important things. But love is fragile. Love lives in presence, in attention, in small gestures repeated every day. I gave my attention to everything else: emails, meetings, projects that measured success but never measured warmth. Now I have all the time in the world, and it doesn't fill the emptiness. Time is meaningless without someone to share it with. I eat alone. I watch birds at the feeder alone. I read books that once promised escape, now offering only quiet companionship. And I think about the conversations I never had, the apologies I never gave, the hugs I never lingered in, because I was always too busy for later. If there is someone you love, don't wait for the perfect moment to tell them. Don't assume there's more time. Later comes faster than you expect. Look them in the eye. Tell them how much they mean to you. Sit with them even when it's messy. Listen, really listen, even when you'd rather do something that feels productive. Because presence is the rarest gift you can give, and it is the only thing that lasts. I am not saying this to guilt anyone. I am saying it because I wish someone had said it to me 50, 40, 30 years ago. Life will not pause so you can catch up. Life will not wait for a time to be kind, to be present, to show love. It will happen around you while you're busy elsewhere. And one day, you'll find yourself with nothing but memories, and even memories cannot replace the warmth of presence. So I tell you this, not as advice, not as a warning, but as one woman's truth: do not wait. Love while you can. Listen while you can, sit with people while you can. Because later is a lie that comes too late. And if my story reaches even one person who changes their choices today, then the years I spent lost, the quiet grief I carry, the lessons learned too late, they were not wasted. Stay present, love fully. Speak the words that matter. And don't let time steal them from you. And if you're still listening, I want to say something that's hard to hear but worth hearing. Time doesn't forgive. It doesn't pause for a project, a deadline, or an excuse. It just keeps moving, and most of the people you care about will keep moving too. One day, the phone won't ring. One day, the laughter at the table will be someone else's memory. And you'll realize that the moments you skipped, the evenings you spent somewhere else, the words you didn't say, they are gone. Forever. I spent decades believing that love was safe, that it could wait. I thought my family would always be there because I provided, because I worked hard, because I showed up for the important things. But love is fragile. Love lives in presence, in attention, in small gestures repeated every day. I gave my attention to everything else: emails, meetings, projects that measured success but never measured warmth. Now I have all the time in the world, and it doesn't fill the emptiness. Time is meaningless without someone to share it with. I eat alone. I watch birds at the feeder alone. I read books that once promised escape, now offering only quiet companionship. And I think about the conversations I never had, the apologies I never gave, the hugs I never lingered in, because I was always too busy for later. If there is someone you love, don't wait for the perfect moment to tell them. Don't assume there's more time. Later comes faster than you expect. Look them in the eye. Tell them how much they mean to you. Sit with them even when it's messy. Listen, really listen, even when you'd rather do something that feels productive. Because presence is the rarest gift you can give, and it is the only thing that lasts. I am not saying this to guilt anyone. I am saying it because I wish someone had said it to me 50, 40, 30 years ago. Life will not pause so you can catch up. Life will not wait for a convenient time to be kind, to be present, to show love. It will happen around you while you're busy elsewhere, and one day, you'll find yourself with nothing but memories, and even memories cannot replace the warmth of presence. So I tell you this not as advice, not as a warning, but as one woman's truth: do not wait. Love while you can. Listen while you can. Sit with people while you can. Because later is a lie that comes too late. And if my story reaches even one person who changes their choices today, then the years I spent lost, the quiet grief I carry, the lessons learned too late, they were not wasted. Stay present. Love fully. Speak the words that matter. And don't let time steal them from you.